So for our Halloween youth group session, I wanted to talk with the group about monsters. And the way that I did this was to show them Michael Jackson's music video Thriller. And the reason that Thriller works is because it shows monsters in two different ways. First, there's always the monster that exists out there, the one who is out to get us. And you see this as Michael Jackson and his girlfriend are walking along and they come across this cemetery, and out of it zombies come up and they're out to get us, right? And they're about to possess us, says Michael Jackson. Well, this leads us into the second reason that Thriller works, and that's because there's the monster that we can easily become. And Michael Jackson becomes this zombie. He becomes just like the other monsters that are out to get him. And this is, the word monster comes from the Latin word monstrum, which means warning or omen. And this, I think, is what our cultural understanding of monsters is warning us of. Both the monster that exists out there and also the monster that exists within, the monster that we can easily become. And you see this in Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. You see this also in the Incredible Hulk, that once we are provoked by anger, we can easily become like a monster. And this led to a great discussion about how young people tend to project monstrous qualities upon adults, and how adults tend to project monstrous quality upon young people, and how we can become possessed by these accusations, these qualities that people are projecting upon one another. And we can start to live into these identities. So parents and teachers tend to say that young people are unruly, uncontrollable, and young people can easily begin to live out this identity. And young people also say, well, older people are just out to control our lives and make us miserable. And you can begin to see how parents and teachers can start to live out this identity. Well, the way that I want to relate this to the Bible is Mark chapter 5. And here Jesus comes to the country of the Gerasenes. And the Gerasenes have projected monstrous qualities onto this individual who lives in the cemetery. He's kind of like a zombie. And they try to shackle him down. They chain him down. But the chains can't control this guy. He's unruly. But at the same time, this guy lives in the cemetery. He lives in the mountains. He doesn't come into the villages. He doesn't pose a threat to them. All the text says is that he howls and bruises himself with stones. So he's really only posing a threat to himself. Well, when Jesus comes and sees this, he tries to transform the situation. And he comes to the man who's possessed by these demons, all of this monstrous projection that people are thrust upon him. And he transforms him. He tells the demons that possess him, this identity that possesses him, to leave. And they leave, and this man is transformed. Well, the people who live in the country don't like this. They see this transformation, and they no longer have someone to project monstrous qualities upon. And they like to be able to do that because it meant that they could avoid their own monstrous tendencies. But now they can't. And so they ask Jesus to leave because they don't like what he's done. And so Jesus leaves. But the man who was possessed by demons comes to Jesus and says, hey, can I go with you? I'd like to come along. And what he might be doing here is trying to escape all of the people who don't want to see the monster in themselves, and he's worried that they might project all of this back onto him. But Jesus says, no, you need to stay and tell everyone about the mercy of God and what God has done for you. And here we see that God's mercy and compassion even reaches out to those that we call monsters. And Jesus challenges us to treat the monsters in our lives as he treated them, with mercy and compassion. And if we did this, I think that the world would be transformed in the way that Jesus transformed it. So that's, I think, the challenge that Halloween presents, that monsters present, to see the monster that exists within the self, and also to deal with the monsters in our lives with mercy and compassion. So I'd like to hear your thoughts. Thanks.